Hey, I'm Mrs. Moss in Richmond, Virginia. It's on my heart to stir up some ministry in my area for post-abortive people. I especially have a heart for the men because I've been trying to get some help for them, and I haven't got anything started in Richmond yet. So I'm sharing with a bunch of little videos my thoughts on the church and post-abortion healing, and trying to kind of teach the church how to be compassionate for their brothers and sisters in the Lord who are post-abortive, and tell you some of the things that I know. And this is why I have to talk about golf all the time. Why do I have to talk about golf all the time? Because golf is hard. I have really good hand-eye coordination, and I can do things about in this range. But to my mind, to take a little ball and hit it with a stick that long and make it go somewhere so specific, that blows my mind. So golf is fascinating to me, and I have this theory that executive type guys like golf because it's so hard and they've succeeded at everything else. So to layer on top of that, post-abortion healing is hard. It's a tricky ministry. It's a messy wound. It's a it sort of has to be secretive because people's stories are shameful and embarrassing. Abortion usually involves some kind of sexual sin. So when you're trying to minister to post-abortive people, it is not easy. It's hard. But my challenge to the ministers, the future ministers, the people that I'm trying to find, that I'm putting out the call for them to come and minister to the men in my area and in my state, it's like you'll like it. It can be mastered. It can be like golf. It's something you can learn and get your skills going on. Ministering to post-abortive people can be the most exciting challenge in your life. And the rewards are like, the rewards are when you can look into the faces of people who were dead 3 months ago and now they're alive and they have hope and they're going forward in their life. So that's why I got to talk about golf all the time. Challenge you guys that like, how come on, y'all like hard things? Pick this ministry, pick this ministry, pick this ministry. It'll satisfy you. It's a challenge. And the rewards are tremendous. So that's what I had to say about golf. What's the state of affairs regarding healing? And I'm going to try to be more specific about what some healing models are. I had an abortion in the early 80s, and I went looking for help, and it was the beginnings of people trying to figure out how to heal this horrible wound. I went to a support group meeting, and that was cool. That was easy. We made some friendships there. The lady that led the support group meeting got us into this Bible study. So I went to a Bible study, which was a very low-key. One lady led the Bible study. We had a workbook. There were a handful of us in the room. A church that was not her own church allowed her to have a room on a night that the church wasn't busy. So no one had to see us and know what we were there for. We kind of had the whole church to ourselves. That took some coordination. She had to be trained to give the Bible study or figure out how to do the Bible study. She had to ask a church for a room. And then she met with us and kind of all by herself took us through this 12-week Bible study. And it was successful. So I use that as an example. There's your simplest form of ministry. It was free. It cost this lady some time and training. Her heart was engaged to help us be healed. I don't think it cost the church anything. They gave her a key and gave her a night to use one weeknight to use the room. It wasn't draining anybody's big, church budgets. And yet, 4 or 5 of us got healed and went on with our lives and were reconciled to God. So when you're saying, oh no, this lady in Richmond is blabbing on and on in her videos about ministry, you don't have to get big dollar signs in your eyes. Maybe you can give a room. Maybe you could put out the call to see if there's a lady or two in your church that would like to lead a Bible study. There's some nice men's Bible studies out there. They don't cost anything. We bought our workbook for like $10 or something, and off you go. Ministries can be bigger than that. They can be fuller. When I was getting healed, it was before the internet. Now, a lot of people, in the nature of healing from abortion, you're going to have people that want fellowship, that want to be in a room with other Christians, that want that face, heart time in a room with other human beings. And you're going to have Christians that don't want any of that, or they can't, no one can know their story, and they can get healed through watching videos, through people's testimonies. So that can be helpful too. You know, we live in the best of times. We live in the worst of times. The internet has brought a lot of evil into people's lives. It's brought a lot of garbage into people's homes. And the internet has also brought a lot of healing to a lot of people who are not going to go to a church and join a Bible study. So back in the day when I was taking this Bible study, we had this big workbook. And it was one of the first Bible studies ever written. And my girlfriend, Susie, another girl named Susie, said, "Oh, wow, my mother's coming to visit." And she had to take her workbook and hide it in the trunk of her car. Because her mom was coming to visit from out of town. So she had to take her big old workbook with all her embarrassing answers in it from her Bible study and hide it way down in the trunk of her car because, you know, it wasn't something you could leave laying around. Today they've got that Bible study in a smaller book. They have things you can do online. People are Skyping their healing. They're emailing. They're doing things in other states from each other, and they're having email ministry. CareNet has a lot of crisis pregnancy centers, which I think they're now calling pregnancy help centers, and they are counseling people who are in crisis pregnancies, and a lot of times they are also doing Bible studies. South of here, Petersburg, Virginia, what I call Jaja and them, they have a pregnancy help center, and they also have been faithfully chugging along, leading little Bible studies for years, faithfully doing the work. Not fancy, surviving on fumes. If you have some money and want to send it to a good place, find Jaja and them in your town and send them some money, because they're doing big work. So I'm talking about the state of affairs for healing, post-abortion healing. One of the great models that is a more complicated but really productive ministry is the weekend retreats. Rachel's Vineyard is doing weekend retreats where you go to the retreat, they feed you, you're concentrating only on your healing. They do these living scriptures. It's very powerful and effective. If you were in a small town and you can't walk out your healing in front of your friends who work at the drugstore or the other PTA moms, you can look up through Rachel's Vineyard retreats going on all around America. You could save up for your vacation. You can go knock out your healing in another place where you don't have to have everybody know you so much. The weekend, I want to talk about people and how different people are and how they have different needs for healing. And it's back on the topic of whether you need human beings in the room with you to be healed in your ministry, if that's important to you or not. A lot of people, everybody has their own relationship with God. And there are people, I have intellectual friends that their healing from abortion and their reconciling with God wasn't the biggest thing in their life like it was for me. It was the biggest thing in my life. And they could quietly deal with all their stuff, them and God and the Word and prayer, and it wasn't such a big event in their life. It was a big event in my life, I think, because I was destined to talk about healing and talk about the church, and I think I experienced so many different weird things so that I could have a well-rounded view of what goes on sometimes in healing. And I learned a lot from my mistakes. So, because I'm I don't consider myself an intellectual. I'm sort of an artist, a storyteller, and symbolism is very important to me. So in my healing, I had to do a lot of things that were symbolic to help me heal. Um, I went home and planted a rose garden, and I had roses in my yard, and I tended them, and I worked out my grief through gardening. I in One of my healing things, this is a whole topic unto itself, but I had to be at peace about where the baby was and if the baby was safe. I was very tormented worrying about my baby. So because symbolism was important to me, I received a lot of fruitful healing being with other people and symbolically dedicating my baby to the Lord. It was way after the fact. My baby had already gone to be with the Lord. But that was important to my heart. I symbolically needed to name my baby. I have a younger brother, and I called him out of the blue. He lives in another state. I remember this so well. It was a long time ago. I had asked the Lord, do you have a name for my baby? And I was sitting in church one morning. You know how you're not listening and you're staring at the ceiling. And this beautiful name popped in my head for my baby. And later that evening, I called my brother out of the blue and I said, I have a name for my baby. And he was so kind towards me. I'm sure that sounded bizarre, but I wanted to tell somebody that was related to me the name of my baby. And he was very gracious about listening to me, where I had to tell him this important thing, that now it wasn't just my abortion. This person had a name. And so anyway, I wanted to share that. Some people don't want to be in a group and heal. Some people don't want to be in a public place and heal. Some people can just be fine with God alone. But our goal as Christians is to find out who needs the help and then get them the help. Okay, well, I'm talking so much to you guys because I'm so burdened for this post-abortive man. I'm so burdened for him to get his healing that I'm directing a lot of it to you men, you leaders at the church, guys, and guys just think different. Guys do stuff different. Guys are probably most likely not going to get in a group like I did with my friends and weep together and get healed. You're going to do it your own way. The Lord's going to show you how to minister to each other. And it's going to be fitting. It's going to be fitting for being guys. And so take anything you can from me, but use your creativity and minister to the men how the Lord shows you. You yourself will hear from the Lord, or you can follow some other men's ministries. Like I said, there's Bible studies out there now. And I think a lot of men are doing some email back and forth discussing lessons. And they don't all have to be face to face.